Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today I will be participating in the SheetLoad of cards, and this is from Call Me Crafty Al's YouTube channel, and here's the link to her channel. I'll also put that in the description box. So each month she has a sketch and supply list with this printed out sheet of directions. And for the month of August, this is the card that she created, and I'll be doing something similar to this, but with a sympathy theme since I'm in need of sympathy cards. This is for the month of August, like I mentioned, and it gives you all the list of supplies that you need, and and then you get a diagram, and it shows you how to cut your cardstock. So the paper that I'll be using is this Hot Buy. It's the silver foil from Michaels. And now I'll show you some of the supplies that I'll be using. This is a Spellbinders die, and it's the crosses too. And I'll be using this cross here. I'll also be using this Stamp and Die by Hero Arts. And it has a with sympathy stamp here and the banner that will cut this out. So that is the die cut that comes with that. I'll also be using some of these silver flat back, what are these called? Rhinestones. Also my foam tape from Dollar Tree and my tacky glue. At the end of the video, I will also show you how to make an envelope for this card set. So let's begin with the card bases, and here it indicates that you need 3 8.5 by 11 solid cardstock, cut and fold into 6/8 card bases, and that's what I've done here with white cardstock. That's this here. Next, we're going to move on to the pattern paper, and it says 1 sheet 12 by 12, and you have to cut 6 pieces at 5.5 or 5.25 by 4 inch pieces. And what I've done is I've cut this diagonal stripe paper from the paper pad that I showed you. Okay, in this section here it wants you to cut you have 2 sheets 8.5 by 11, and you want to cut these at 4.25 by 5.5, which is the same size as the card base. So I am not going to cut that since I'm just going to use a white card base. I didn't want to add this is just basically going to be silver and white, so I didn't want to add another layer, so I don't have to do this step. If you want to add a background piece, then you would continue with that space with this instructions here. Next up, we're going to work on this center piece here, which is a matte and then a reverse fishtail pattern paper that will go on top of that. And the way the fishtail was cut was I found the center of this rectangle and then go up 1 inch on each side and then just cut and connect these 2 pieces, and that creates your fishtail banner. I will be adding this to the mat, which is cut at 2.5 and then 3 3/4, and that's the size of this mat. Okay, so those are all my pieces so far except for the sentiment piece, and here she cut 3 by 5 pieces, 6 of them to stamp her sentiment. And what I have done is, like I mentioned, I use this, so I've stamped several of the deepest sympathy, and then I'll be cutting that out with the die provided with this. So let's go ahead and get started and put my cards together. So I'm going to go ahead and add my ATG to the back of the pattern paper, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a border at the top. Allie put hers exactly lined up at the top, but I think I want to leave a little bit of a border at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all my 6 pieces. next what I'm going to do is go ahead and just follow this shape of this banner and cut the mat, and I'm just going to try to position it right at the edge of that top banner and leave a little bit of a border on that. You can see what that looks like. Now what I'll do is I'll get this piece and flip it over and just line it up on my trimmer and get that set up so that I have it cutting exactly where the other one was on the other side. This is just like a little template, and then once I have that, I can remove that and cut that, and then now I can use this as my pattern to cut the rest. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and cut my cross that I'm going to add to the front of my little banners, and I'm just inserting this into my little sidekick. Oops, doesn't stick to my table since this is just a giant mat, a paper mat. So I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to add my foam tape to the back, and what I do is I'll just get 2 pieces of the squares of foam tape and cut these in thirds. And that's the perfect size to add to the back of my cross, because I want to pop this up. And I'm going to go ahead and add it to the cutout piece in the center of the cross, because I'm going to add a gem at the end. So we'll go ahead and just continue to add my foam tape to both sides of each side of the cross and along the center. Okay, and that'll be ready to add to the front of my card. I did stamp my sentiment with the VersaFine ink, and now I'm going to go ahead and center my die over the sentiment and cut it out with my little sidekick. And I'll go ahead and cut 6 more, or 5 more. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and add my card mat to my card base. And like I said, I eliminated one of the mats, which was the same size as the card base that is in the guide, simply because my colors are white and silver, and I thought I didn't need the white mat and I didn't need a silver, since this one is plenty for my design. And like Allie says, you can go ahead and change up a few things. Basically it's the same except for that. Next, I've prepped my banner piece with foam tape on the back, so I will be adding that to this. And then next is my sentiment. And one thing I noticed, and some of you may have noticed, when I cut my sample piece, I did not realize that this banner has a narrow edge and a wider edge. So when I cut this out, it cut part of my sympathy, part of my sentiment. So make sure that you line it up correctly. So the wider part of the die was supposed to go on the right hand side, so it wouldn't cut off the word sympathy. So if you look at it from the back, you can definitely tell that this side is wider than that side. So it should have been cut like this. So just keep an eye on that, or turn your die. Hope that makes sense. Just wanted to point that out. So we're going to go ahead and add our banner piece. And Allie did her card's landscape, and I'm going to do mine portrait. So I'm going to go ahead and add this here. And next I will be adding my cross, which is going to go there. And I already added my foam tape. You saw me do that. Just going to peel back the adhesive part. And I'm going to center this on this banner. There you go. Next up, I'll go ahead and add some foam tape to the back of this, because I want to add my sentiment right there. And make sure you leave a space without foam tape that is taking up the area of that cross. So I'm going to cut my foam tape in half and add these pieces to each end. I bring this up here. So I'll add a piece here and a piece on this end. And then I shall get another piece and just cut 2 small pieces, probably thirds of that one strip. And that way I'll have enough room in the center for the cross to straddle over that. So I'll put the cross right there in that center, so it doesn't need foam tape there. So go ahead and peel back the backing and bring my card in and put this right about there. Okay, so next I'm going to add my rhinestone. To the center of that, and then continue on with the rest of my cards. And here are my complete cards, and I wanted to show you a little difference between leaving a border at the top as opposed to not, and just putting it flush with the bottom mat. So there, let me see, make sure I don't have too much of a glare. So there you can kind of see the difference. So it's up to you on which one you'd like to do. There is plenty of room at the bottom to add, to lower it down just a tad, the top mat. Once again, I've got envelopes that I made for all my cards, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the envelope tutorial using the envelope punch board. So I'm using an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, and we want to cut this to 8 1/8. So 8 1/8 inch square. Okay, and now we're going to bring our punch board in, and we're going to punch at 3 5/8. So we're going to line this up to 3 5/8, punch and score, and then rotate our paper around, punch and score, punch and score. After the first measurement, you don't have to line anything up along here. You just add this little notch and line it up with this previous score line. Okay, then you have a section here to round off the corners. If you do your envelopes first, you have a piece of cardstock that will work great for this bottom banner. So it's just a little bit larger, so you have to just cut it down to the measurements on the sketch and on the sketch instructions. All right, so let's fold up our envelope. All I do is fold up on the crease lines. Then I'll add glue to these two side panels. I use liquid glue since it's very hot out, and when you mail it, you want to make sure it does not come apart. Okay, and there we have our envelope. Just let that dry a little bit. There we have our envelope. Once again, make sure you visit Call Me Crafty Al. I'll put all her information down in the description box. And also, she has a playlist of the videos that her subscribers have loaded and posted on their YouTube channel. So there is a list where you can go and see all the projects of the different designs that people have come up with this sheet load of cards sketch for August. Thank you everyone for watching. Take care.